All right, welcome to podcast episode 2. Today our topic is embracing change and personal growth. Welcome back to Life Joy Power. I'm Natalie Day, mother, fitness enthusiast, teacher, and coach. In our last episode, we talked about finding joy in life's imperfections, those everyday moments that make life beautiful, messy. Today we're diving into another powerful topic. This is embracing change and how it fuels us for personal growth. Change is something that is inevitable, and due to the law of gravity, we either are moving forward or falling back. And so today, since change is inevitable, we're going to talk about it and what we can do to make it a powerful personal growth tool. It is something that we all experience, whether it's in our careers, our family lives, our personal health journeys. This makes me think of my mom used to say with little kids, she's like, just love every moment because that way you totally enjoy the journey. And I can look back and honestly say that every stage that my kids have been in, I have enjoyed and loved every moment of it. And it's because with that change, I have just embraced like every moment of their change and their growth. Personal health journey, that is something that I'm always like trying to do better, or I've fallen backwards and then have like tried to work on it again, try different things, something that like works for me. So that is also something that's always changing. But there is the thing that change can be the best thing is for a catalyst for growth, even if it's always uncomfortable at first. And so let's talk about why change is necessary, whether we're starting a new fitness routine, moving to a new city, or adjusting to life with teenagers. Change definitely pushes us out of our comfort zone, and it's in those moments of discomfort that we grow the most. When I was thinking about moving to cities, I don't know, but like each of my kids are born in different states. So we moved a lot. Like after Mike and I graduated college, our first move was into Michigan, and I was pregnant with McKinley. And I think growing up, I always wanted to kind of get out of Utah. Like that was like my thing, to kind of meet and like experience new things. It was definitely scary because we were young and we were about ready to have our first child, and we moved to Michigan, far, far away, and it was cold. And I didn't know anybody. And I remember going to the grocery store the very first time, and I grew up in Logan. And in Logan, we would go to Macy's, and Macy's was like the neighborhood grocery store. And so when you would go grocery shopping with my mom, like on Saturdays, you could never go to Macy's without like knowing somebody from like our neighborhood or growing up anywhere. So it was just like you go in and like chat with everybody. And then I remember the very first time I went out to Michigan, and we lived in Bay City, we lived in the Bay City area, so we lived in Midland, and which is the Tri-Cities of Michigan, so it's like right off Lake Huron. And I remember going to the grocery store, and I remember asking this lady to like, oh, excuse me, as I was going around her, and she just like gave me a dirty look. And I thought, oh my gosh, where did we move from? Like, these people are not very nice. And I came home and I remember crying because I was like, I don't know, we are like so far away from everybody and everything, and nothing is familiar. And so eventually I went and joined a gym. I started working. I got to know some people there. Like I just went out of my way and started meeting people. And I do have to say, I look back on that experience, and some of those people that I met there have now become like some of those friends that I've always kept in contact with. It definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone, and I look back and I'm so grateful for every time that we've moved. And we've moved when we lived in Central Washington. Some of those, every acquaintance or friend that I made in those places are some of my closest friends. And things that I would have never experienced by just staying somewhere because it was comfortable. And so I'm actually really super grateful for that. I think even the change of as your kids get older, it is uncomfortable because sometimes you're like, oh, this is like definitely different. I remember dropping McKinley off at North Idaho when she started college, and we drove up there to drop off her stuff, and this is right after her dad passed away, and so we've been through a lot that summer. And I remember driving up there, and then she drove me to the Spokane airport to drop me off so I could fly back home, because Tylee and Talon and Bracken were there. And I remember thinking, this is the weirdest thing, is having your oldest drop you off at the airport. And I cried and cried and cried. And I think the poor guy that was sitting next to me was like, oh my gosh, because I was a sobbing mess. And so it was hard. It was super hard to drop her off. But I can say that, like, looking back in the growth, and every time we would go up and watch her golf, as she golfed for the North Idaho golf team, that we could see the growth in her, and like watching her grow, and in the uncomfortableness of it, what makes it all worth it. And so it definitely was hard. That goes without saying, but I can look back and see the growth and like appreciate the growth and the challenge that it was. So how can we start viewing change as a positive force? And I think a lot of times we look at it like, oh, that was so hard, so it must be negative. But hard doesn't have to be negative. And how do we look at it as a positive rather than something that we're like so afraid of? And it definitely starts with like our mindset. Instead of like resisting it, we need to learn to change, and it's seen as an opportunity to learn and get better. And that's what I've tried to do, is every time we change, or like even bring into a new child into the family, like it definitely changes routines. And when I went back to work, started teaching, that changed the whole family dynamic. And so, but just looking at like where can we grow and learn from this, I think the mindset is a huge thing. So I'm going to kind of try to give you 3 tools that I think that are important for embracing this change. And so the first one would definitely be mindset set. So this is super important. I think this is important in all aspects of life, is like how we reframe how we view challenges. Instead of seeing obstacles as roadblocks, think of them as stepping stones towards where you want to go. I think a lot of times we have to take a step back and think, where is this going to take me? Where is this change going to take me? And as you kind of step back and see where the change is going to take you, then you can appreciate the stepping stones to get there, because it's definitely hard. An example of this is that I think for a long time I've always told people that I'm going to get my real estate license, but I have super bad test anxiety. It makes me sick to my stomach. I can know the information even in college. Like, I can know the information and I can spout off all sorts of information in my head. And then I go take a test and I read a question and I freeze and I can't remember anything. And so to get my real estate license, I was like, okay, I can take the class. Like, I can do the 120 hours. And so I finally completed the 120 hours back in July. And I knew that I had to take the test, the state and the national test, to get my license. And it scared me to death, because I also didn't want to admit to adults, that as a teacher, that I am a horrible test taker, and how kind of embarrassing a little bit that is. And it's also part of my ego. And so I finally just signed up for the test, and I told very limited people that I was going to take it. And so this is just last Friday. So I took it for the first time, and I passed the state test, but I didn't pass the national test. And it was interesting, because it still takes you back to that, oh my gosh, I am not very smart. It takes me back to when, oh, why am I doing this? I shouldn't be doing this. And so then I had to sit down and think and shift my mindset and think, you know what, I can do this. I just, as long as it takes me, I will do this. It just might take me a lot of times to take this test. And it's okay. And what is it teaching? It's kind of teaching my kids too, that we can just do hard things, and we can continue to do hard things, and as long as it takes. And so I retook the test on Monday, the national part, failed it. And so then I studied some more, and I went in today, and mind you, 23 is kind of our family number, I think now. My dad passed away on the 23rd, so the 23rd, and I realized this morning it was the 23rd. So my mindset was okay, it's the 23rd, so that means my dad can definitely helped me today. But I did go in with the mindset that I was like, I'm okay if I don't pass today, because I'll just keep coming in. Like, I'm just going to keep at it until I pass this test. And so I just told the lady there today, I was like, oh, don't worry, if I don't pass it, I'll see you on Friday. And I'm just going to keep taking it until I eventually pass it. And but I passed it today, so super exciting. It's super scary, but now just changing that mindset too, like, and so it put me in a different mind frame that this is a stepping stone. And then I'm sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, I actually did this. This is couple years that I've been like thinking to do it, but I finally had to just like do it, even if it was hard and it was scary, and even to admit to people that like I didn't pass it, like. And and I just kept taking it. So I only take it a couple more times, but that is where like shifting your mindset is super important. Also, another thing, the second tool that I like to give you is daily routine. Creating this consistency can help you feel grounded, and for like different times, like changes. So whether that's like through fitness or meditation or journaling, so thinking of things that like make you feel grounded, especially during change, is super important. One thing I always thought of is like, as we moved, the very first thing that I ever did when we moved a different place and I didn't know anybody is I would go join a gym, because I knew that at a gym I'd find like-minded people and people that I had things in common with. So I would go join a gym. I would start going to classes because I knew that like I would find people that like my community, and or I'd start volunteering, because that was something that like kind of kept me grounded and was like consistent in my life and things that I like to do. And so, and that's where I kind of found my tribe, which would be the third thing, is the support system. Find your tribe, like lean on that. I think sometimes when I think about tribe though, I think it has to be a big group of people. It doesn't have to be a big group of people. It can be like one or two, even your fitness community. And then that's what I kind of always have found as we moved around. Like, that is kind of who I've leaned on as we've moved around, and that's who become my tribe. And you surround yourself with a supportive system, and that literally can make the world a difference. But it doesn't have to be a lot. I think it can be one or two people. But I think that's also where journaling comes in too, and like finding that support. Even like if you don't have a very big tribe, you can find that support in yourself, like as you look back and be like, oh, I've made huge leaps and bounds. And so those are the three tools that I would like to share with you that I have found that like has helped me embrace change. And one of the hardest thing that I think about is change is kind of letting go of control. And I know this is super hard as a mom and coach and teacher, and I often want everything to go as planned. Lesson plans never turn out exactly how I plan them. I don't think I've ever written a lesson plan and it goes exactly how it was supposed to be or it was written. There's always somebody that has like a question that kind of leads you down a different path, or you do have a plan and then it all like changes a little bit. And so I think letting go of that control and embracing that change as you let go of the control, because everyone kind of like has their own ideas also. And I think if you can like let go of that and like learn from that, then you just now have opened this whole world of new possibilities that you didn't even know existed, because you've kind of let go of that. And so, and I know that like even with kids, like even each kid has different personalities, and even changing with like how you parent is huge. I've noticed that with each of my kids, like, and we were kind of joking the other day about how like even certain kids want a driver's license, and they did everything that they could so they could get their driver's license when they're 16. But then I've had few other children that like, I'm good, I don't need my driver's license. And so like how we've had to encourage them or push them along to get their driver's license, I think is definitely like embracing change. Like parenting is definitely embracing change every day, like, and how that interaction and what's going to help each of your children. And I think letting go of that control, because I would love to be like, I've told my kids it was so much easier when they were little, because like physically I was tired, but as teenagers and all the things that they are going through and experiencing, like emotionally I'm tired, because I wish I could just control everything for them. I wish I could just make their decisions for them, and so they wouldn't have to go through hard times. But like just kind of being able to let go of that, and then just being there and knowing that you're in their corner for them and embracing them as they go through hard moments is hard, because as a mom, you just like, my heart breaks for them when they go through hard times, and I just want to like control everything for them so they don't have to go through it. But like knowing that if they don't go through it, they don't grow. And so I know change isn't always easy, but it's a vital part of our journey, and by embracing it, we always open ourselves to personal growth, new experiences, and ultimately more joy. And so as we go through the ups and downs of life, let's remember that every change, no matter how small, is an opportunity to grow. And so before we end, I just want to, and that's why I like new products. And so I think part of going back even to daily routine, some of my favorite things that I have found that have helped embrace change and growth is, if you ever want to get a pop-up sauna, like that is my personal find for the week. And I'm going to try to share with you my personal find for the week before we end. But if you want a pop-up sauna, I got a sauna box, and I think that has helped me create this consistency, and grounded me more than anything. And so, but change is an opportunity to grow, and just remember that. Like, and I think as if we look at the opportunity that it allows us to grow, then we can shift our mindset and we can embrace change. So thank you for joining me again and embracing my personal growth as I have like put out these podcasts. And if you found this episode helpful, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love for you to subscribe and leave a review. And remember, embrace change, trust the process, and keep growing. See you next time on Life Joy Power.